What I want to show you today are some examples of the perfect pin formula. And specifically, I'm going to show you some pins from Blendtec. I'm sure you've heard of Blendtec, the Will It Blend guys who blend iPhones and iPads and other things. They have a Pinterest account. As you can see here, they have a good following, 10,800 followers. And I specifically want to look at some of the pins that they've been doing and see how they relate to the perfect pin formula to see if they're really following that formula or not. So first I want to show you the perfect pin formula. So just to give you an overview, let's just Google this real fast, and the post comes up here. So here's the perfect pin formula: VD plus PCC plus M. So I'll just skip down here so you can see what this is. VD is visual dominance. That just means designing your image or your pin so that it stands out among the feed. Because most people, when they're on Pinterest, they're just looking at a feed. It's all the pins from the people that they're following, and so visual dominance. What we tend to do, what this means, is making your images taller, but that's not always the case. It can deal with contrast and the colors you choose and so forth. So that's VD. PCC is purple cow content. This is content that that's remarkable, that people want to share and they want to pin. So the VD is what gets your pin noticed in the first place, and then the PCC is what gets your pin pinned. It makes people want to repin it and pin it to their own boards. And so the mystery part of it, this is the key. I think a lot of people leave this out. People are starting to do more taller images or images that stand out in the Pinterest feed, and they're even pinning good content, but what a lot of them are leaving out is this mystery element. And what this means is you can't put all, if your goal is to get traffic to your site, then you don't necessarily want to put all of the content within the image itself. So you've got to leave a little bit hanging so that they have to click through to your site to get the rest of the information. And you don't want to do this in a manipulative way, but there's a way to do it. And so I'm going to show you some examples of Blendtec blog and basically do a review of what I think their pins are, how they're performing in respect to the perfect Pinterest formula. So they have a board called the Blendtec blog, and a lot of these pins seem to come from their blog itself. Their latest pin is this shorter image. Again, that's not necessarily bad that it's a smaller image. It is black. It kind of stands out a little bit, I would think, among the other people's feeds. But as you can see, it hasn't had much traction. Again, when did they pin this? 3 days ago. So my guess is that one just got buried in people's feeds and they didn't, or it's just the content, they don't care. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly. But let's look at their second most recent pin is this long one here. 90-second chill out recipes. And it looks like they've got a bunch of recipes and they list all the recipes and instructions in here. As you can see, this is a tall image. Now look at the number of repins compared to that first one. 53 repins. That's pretty good, right? So my take on this is that this is definitely has the VD, the visual dominance, because it's tall. It stands out amongst the other normal shorter images that people are pinning. Purple cow content, absolutely. People love recipes on Pinterest, and so this has good content that people want to pin. As you can see, I mean, 53 repins is pretty awesome on one pin. And so, but mystery. Now, they don't leave any mystery here. They put the whole recipe all in this image. So even if I open this up and I'm able to read these recipes, I don't ever have, although this does link to their site, as you can see in the bottom left. If I click on it, my guess is that they're not getting as many click-throughs to their site as they could have, because again, I don't have to leave Pinterest in order to get all these instructions. So I think that's the element that they're missing, is the mystery side of it. So let's look at this one: fast food versus fast food. Eat real food. So it's kind of interesting. Again, it's a tall image, as you can see. I mean, 38 repins. It didn't get as much as this. I think the title of this is a little bit confusing, possibly, but I think it's probably good content, and that's why it is getting repinned. But again, I don't know if you necessarily need to. It looks like they have some recipes down here too, but all the full recipes in the pin itself. So there's almost no reason to go click through to the Blendtec site. Let's see some of these other. Here's another short one. This one got a decent number of repins. It's just an inviting image. Now this one definitely, I think it's purple cow content. It's remarkable. It's interesting. You know, talking about spinach. Although you don't know that unless you read the description. So maybe if they said something about spinach recipes up here or something like that. But it does have mystery in the sense that I have to click through this link to see the recipes. So that's a good example of leaving some mystery behind. And so here they they link to all their recipes, and that's good. So they're driving traffic back to their site, which in most cases is probably the goal that most people have. So let's look at this one. 5 energy foods, and they show you these pictures. So this one, interesting that it only has 15 repins. I mean, it is a taller image. It has some mystery to it because you're not exactly sure what the energy food is. I mean, you can tell it's oatmeal. It's probably spinach, but you have to click through. So this got some good elements there, but there must be something that's not quite purple cow content to where people aren't pinning it. I mean, it could also be the time of day that they're pinning as well. Some of these things, there are peak times to pin. Typically in the evening or early morning is a lot of where you get a lot of traction on Pinterest. For sure, the evening. So who knows when they pin this. So that is another variable to consider here. Here we got 7 superfoods for your health. What is a superfood? They talk about almonds, spinach, honey, raspberries. So this is great content. It's got visual dominance. It stands out. It's tall. As you can see, tons of repins here, 108. But again, there's no mystery here in the sense that there's no reason for me to want to click through to Blendtec site. I love the content though. It's great. Which again, sometimes you don't always have to be trying to drive traffic to your site, but if you are, this is an element that you need to consider. Now this watermelon one is also interesting, how to cut a watermelon. There's a term floating around calling these instructographics. There's instructions and images, the steps that walk you through how to do a certain thing. As you can see, 17 repins, 28 repins, which is a decent amount of repins. But my guess is that some of this isn't that exciting. Like people kind of know how to cut a watermelon, so maybe that's why it's not getting as many repins as these other ones have had. And again, there's no reason to click through to Blendtec site because all the instructions are here. This one is a tall image as well. 114 repins. So this is good content. People are liking this. 10 ingredients to add to smoothies. People are liking that. But there's no reason for me to want to click through to their site. So as you can see here, they are using elements of the perfect pin formula, but they tend to leave out the mystery element if their goal is trying to drive traffic back to their blog and to their site. So those would be the tips that I would give to them. Other than that, they're pretty good at coming up with some good purple cow content and using visual dominance with their design. Using a tall image or colors that are contrasting to what other images might be using. So there are some good examples. Hopefully you can gain a couple of tips from this. Talk to you later.